Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to set up scan to email from your Konica Minolta Bizhub copier. The steps in this tutorial can be used pretty much on all Konica Minolta Bizhub models. Depending on which model you have, it may look a little different on the back end, the web interface, which I'll talk more about it when I get there. But if you follow the steps carefully, you should be able to figure it out. So before we get started, you definitely need to gather some information. I went ahead and made a list of the required information needed in order to get this to work. First off, you need to know what your SMTP server address is. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using my Gmail account. If you have a Gmail account, you can follow the same steps and it'll work. If you are using a email service from your hosting company, you can call them and they can provide you with the SMTP server address. Or if you're using Office 365, you can call Microsoft for that. Or simply ask your IT department or IT consultant, and they should provide you with this information as well. Second, you need your SMTP. You need to know what your SMTP port number is. You need your email address, your password. You need to know what your DNS server is, and of course, IP address of your copier. You definitely have to assign your copier and IP address in order for us to access the copier. So let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and use Chrome. I recommend you use Chrome as your browser. You could use Internet Explorer if you like, but I've had issues in the past where it's kind of mysterious where not everything showed up. And if you don't have Chrome, I recommend you download it. It doesn't take that long. But if you must use Internet Explorer, I mean, you might be fine doing that. But I recommend Chrome. So anyhow, what we're going to do is open up Chrome. We're going to type in the IP address of your copier. Which the IP address of my copier, of course, is not going to be the same for yours, so don't try it. Unless you use the same number, then I guess it'll work. So we're waiting for the back end, the web interface to open up. So once you see the page scope web connection, then you know you're in. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using a model Bizhub 368. The newer ones will look like this. If you're using if you have an older Konica Minolta Bizhub copier, it's going to look way different than this. And I'll talk more about it in just a second. So the first thing that we need to do is log in as admin. So on the very top right, you see here login, and it's going to say, are you sure you want to log out of public? And you're going to hit OK. You're now going to select administrator, hit login, type in your password. Now again, if you're using an older model, the layout's going to be totally different, but just follow the same wording and you should be able to figure it out. So you hit OK. So now, as soon as this opens, you're going to see a little more. The menu is going to grow a little more. And I'll show you in just a second. Sometimes it takes a little long for it to log in. Okay, so there you go. You might have your Windows pop up saying, do you want to save the password? You don't need to do that. So anyhow, this is the main list of what we're going to be working with. If you do have an older model, you're going to see the same wording, but the layout's going to be different. Instead of it being vertical, it's going to be horizontal in different color boxes. But if you follow the same wording, for example, system settings, network, address book, you should be able to figure it out for the older models. So first thing what we need to do is click on system settings. Now this page is very important. You need to fill this out. Most importantly, the two email addresses, what you really need to make, what you need to concentrate. The rest you can put whatever you want. For example, device location, you can call it wherever you want. I mean, the name of your office or where it's located, doesn't really matter. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to put office. Now, administrator's name, you can put whatever name you want, the IT tech or so. So let's just call it Joe. Okay, now the email address is what's important. So you want to type in a valid email. If you're using Gmail, put your Gmail. So I'm going to put xxx@gmail.com. Extension, you don't really need to put anything there. Company name, if you like, you can put the name of your company. We'll put Prestige Office Solutions. As you can tell, I have it right here, but I just wanted to type it out for you. Department name doesn't matter. Just put IT. Call it whatever department you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Device name, you can just call it Konica Minolta 368. This is important if you have many different machines, and you could distinguish which one you're working with. But if you have one, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Again, you're going to take the same email address that you have up here, and you're going to put it down here. I'm using XXX, but of course, that's not my email. But you're going to put your Gmail account or whatever email account that you have. It's got to be a good working email. So once you have that, you hit OK. You're going to hit OK again. You got to make sure that it says complete here, or else just follow the steps again. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to network. Now the next step we're going to do after this is also very important. If you don't follow this step, you're not going to be able to scan an email. You're not going to be able to scan to an email from your copier. So you're going to select TCP/IP settings. And the reason this step is important is because we have to put our DNS server. So you're going to go to this section here, which is your primary DNS server. I'm going to use Google's. You could use your own DNS servers or whatever you like, but I always like to use Google because it's solid and it never changes. So Google's primary DNS server is 8.8.8.8, and their secondary is 8.8.4.4. So if you use those, you're safe. If you want to use your own, that's fine. If you know your DNS server, that's fine. Go ahead and use that. So you'll hit OK here. You're going to hit OK. Make sure it says complete here. And now we're going to go to our email settings. So this is where we're going to type in our SMTP. This is remember I told you we need the SMTP server address, your port numbers, email, and password. Okay, well, we're going to fill that information out right here. So you're going to select email TX, okay, the SMTP. You're going to leave this alone. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to wait for it to open. So here we go. So you're going to put a check mark if it's not already there. You got to make sure the scan email is on, email notifications on, total counters on. You could leave all three of these on. You're going to put a check mark here. The SMTP server for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. So you'll have to put a check mark there if you're going to spell it out. Most servers nowadays, you spell it out. If you're using a Windows Exchange or server, you may need to put the IP address of your SMTP server address. But most of the time it's a name. So I'm going to type in smtp.gmail.com. And Gmail uses SSL. So you're going to click on the drop down and you're going to select Start TLS. Okay. Port number for Gmail is 587. Sometimes for whatever reason, if 587 doesn't work, put 465. I've had situations where I've been out of customer sites and for whatever reason, their system, and I can't explain why, but it just doesn't accept 587, and I put 465 and it works. But most of the time it's going to be 587. So start with 587, and you could leave all this the way it is. Just you don't have to worry about anything. And then you're going to come down to device email. So if you see this, just make sure the email that you typed in earlier on the system settings is showing up here, which it is for this tutorial, which is great. Next thing you're going to do is make sure that you have a check mark here, SMTP authentication. Sometimes, most of the time it's off, so you're going to have to check it. So, and then you could leave this all on, that's fine. And you're going to come down to your user ID. Now your user ID is going to be your email address. In this case, it's going to be the Gmail. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, or you type it in, whatever you like. Make it quicker just by copying. Paste. Remember, this has to be your Gmail email address, okay? Your Gmail address, I should say. Now, you have to put a check mark here where it says password is changed. When you're doing it for the first time, you have to put a check mark here, and you're going to type in your password, okay? So I'm going to type in my password. And you're going to do it, well, actually, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to type it in once. And domain name, you're just going to just leave it blank. And you just leave this the way it is. You could leave it at the default. Just leave this off. And you hit OK. If this message pops up again, just hit the X up here, and once it's complete, you're almost done. Now it's time to start adding the addresses, your email addresses, where it's for your staff's email. All the people in your office that have their own email, and you want to set them up one by one. So you'll come to stored addresses. Now again, if you have an older machine, the stored address is going to be laid out somewhere here in this area. If I remember correctly, it's in a yellow box or an orange box. I don't remember, but just remember stored addresses. So what we're going to do, I created one earlier, but I'm going to create another one for you just so you can see how easy it is. You're going to click New Registration. Wait for this to open. Make sure that you have email selected here. It usually is by default, but if not, just drop down and select it. Then you're going to put the name that you wanted to appear on the copier screen. So when you walk up to the copier and you hit the scan button, you'll want to know the emails, the name of the person or the employee or your staff member or so forth, who you're emailing to. So let's say it's front office or receptionist office. So we'll just put front desk. So this is the name that's going to show up on the copier when you walk up to it. Make sure you put a check mark on the main. This is important because if not, you're going to have to find them through the sort of Rolodex, the old-fashioned Rolodex kind of thing. So you can also, starting with the first letter F, you can select F here. I don't think you ever use it once you have it in the main. But just in case, if somebody ever wanted it, if you have like 1,000 different names, yeah, you're probably going to need to use the address search. So just make sure the first letter is, in this case, it's F. Make sure you select F. So now you're going to put the email address. So I'll put my email address, just any email address you want, and leave everything the way it is here and just hit OK. So guys, you're done. So you could either continue registration or return. Now, if you want to go ahead and test it, it's very important that you log out. Otherwise, when you walk out to the copier, it's going to show it's like a spinning wheel letting you know somebody has access to the back end of the machine. You're not going to be able to use the copier until you log out. So it's real simple to log out. You just click on log out. And again, it's going to say, are you sure you want to log out? You hit OK. And that's it. So now walk up to your copier, hit the scan button, select the shortcut. You'll see the name there and scan away. So hopefully this video helps and good luck. And if you have any questions, go ahead, shoot us a message and we'll reply as quick as we can. Thanks for watching, guys.